Joining us now is Joel Rubin, the president of the Washington Strategy Group and a former deputy secretary of state. Now, welcome. Now, Joel, this has been the worst fighting between the two sides since 2014. What does this ceasefire mean, and how long can we expect it to hold?
Well, Ariel, it has been the worst fighting, and it's very unfortunate to have the loss of life that we've had. And thankfully, there is a ceasefire, but it's a tenuous one. And the United States, for example, for us asking Egypt to broker and mediate this ceasefire, it implies that we really aren't leaning in. And my fear is that this could restart at any moment. Certainly, this has started multiple times in the past decade, and nothing is in place to prevent this from recurring. And that's the deep concern here.
Now, touching on the U.S. involvement, what does this fighting have to say about the strength of Jared Kushner's upcoming peace plan?
Yeah, it reveals a major glaring opening of the peace plan where Jared Kushner has not been speaking with the Palestinians, neither the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank nor any interlocutors in Gaza. So how would a peace plan, if and when it's announced, be executed? Who's coming to the table to prevent the Palestinians from engaging in these types of activities? Who is negotiating for them? Right now, without them at the table, it's nearly impossible to see how a legitimate peace process can be executed under this plan. That is just really a sorry state of affairs for peacemaking.
Now, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu had a reaction to all of this. How is this viewed internationally?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of sympathy, as there should be, for those civilians on the Israeli side who have been bombarded unnecessarily by 600 rockets. And there's also sympathy for the Palestinians. But the bigger question in the international community is, what's the solution? What are the Israelis doing? What is the international community doing to prevent this continuous cycle of violence? And the failure to have a peace process, even with Jared Kushner's efforts, there's no conversation happening between the protagonists, between the Israelis and the Palestinians. That's deep concern internationally. And there's a lot of skepticism right now about Prime Minister Netanyahu and his intentions towards the Palestinians, which means that opinion is trending against him rather than towards him, even though the terrorist organizations have shot into Israel.
Okay, now, Joel, stick with us now to some news regarding Iran and the U.S. The Trump administration overnight deploying an aircraft carrier and Air Force bomber task force in response to a potential threat from Tehran. National Security Advisor John Bolton says the move is intended to send a clear and unmistakable message. Mona Kosar-Abdi is in Washington with more.
The U.S. sending a direct message to Iran, warning the nation that any attack on U.S. interests or allies would be met with unrelenting force after officials stated there were, quote, clear indications of a planned attack. The White House then making a surprise announcement Sunday that the USS Abraham Lincoln and a bomber task force have been deployed to the Middle East. In a statement, National Security Advisor John Bolton said the United States is not seeking war with the Iranian regime, but we are fully prepared to respond to any attack, whether by proxy, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or regular Iranian forces. The move comes on the heels of escalating tensions between Washington and Tehran. Last month, President Trump designated Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a wing of the Iranian military, as a foreign terrorist organization. A few weeks later, the White House reimposed sanctions on Iran, announcing the U.S. will no longer grant waivers to countries buying Iranian oil. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo did not provide specifics on Iran's potential actions, but another U.S. official tells ABC News that there does not appear to be any imminent threats.
That was Mona Kosar-Abdi reporting. Now, back with us is Joel Rubin. National Security Advisor John Bolton says that the U.S. is deploying the carrier strike in response to a number of warnings from Iran. Now, what exactly were these warnings?
That's the mystery here in Washington that nobody seems able to answer. And the confusion about the cause is creating a dysfunctional response publicly by the administration. John Bolton says one thing, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo another. The Pentagon today said that they were planning to send the carrier out earlier. So what is the cause? No specifics. And it leads to a question about what is the end game here for the administration towards Iran. It's ratcheting up the pressure, as it should, related to Iran's behavior in the region. But the saber rattling has unnerved a lot of analysts here in D.C.
Interesting. Now, on that idea of this end game here, I mean, by deploying this ship, will this actually escalate tensions even further?
Well, it's not like the United States is sending a ship to somehow prevent Iran from advancing a nuclear program. That verifiably is not happening. So what is the ship intended to do? Is it to protect American forces? We have enough force right now in the region to immediately respond to any Iranian provocation. So the guess, and what it appears to be, is a bit of a game of chicken, sort of a raising the temperature to see if Iran will maybe take some action related to its nuclear program in particular that is counterproductive to its interests. It's not in Iran's interest to break the nuclear deal. The United States, we have, but if Iran does, it'll lose the support of the Europeans and strengthen America's hands. So Iran is being dared quite a bit, and National Security Advisor Bolton knows how to play this game, but using military force as a tactic to provoke Iran to do something that could be counterproductive is a high-risk venture.
Excellent. Joel Rubin, president of the Washington Strategy Group, thank you.